Welcome to the More Life, Less Drama podcast with mindset expert and master executive coach, solicited, who will teach you how to finish your first goal and then every goal using her simple, proven formula. If you're ready to live more life, have more fun, and reach your potential with less drama, you're in the right place.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of More Life, Less Drama. This episode is going to be a quickie episode because I just want to give you some quick shot of inspiration, motivation, and to remind yourself that you are in control of your life and your thoughts, and you have power because of that. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this quick episode is that you are in full control of what you think about yourself. Not your friends, not your family, not your boss, not your neighbor's cousin's best friend who loves to share their opinion, just you. And that is the most important thing that you can take control of. Because the thing is, I see this all the time, even in myself. We set a goal, we make some progress, and then boom, someone shares an opinion, sometimes unsolicited, and suddenly we're spiraling. Instead of staying focused on the goal, we spend our time managing the emotional roller coaster of what someone else thinks and how can we change their opinion about us and why would they think that? Is that true? Anyway, it's just a whole spiral, and that is what we are tackling today. Because the reality is everybody will have an opinion. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. Some people like to share their opinion more than others, and it's unavoidable. Whether it's a throwaway comment or someone worrying about you, someone like your mother, thanks mum, or even in a structured environment like in a coaching call or a session somewhere or in a group where you're working on things, who knows, wherever it can be. A lot of the time it's not in a structured environment, because usually in a structured environment you are requesting some feedback, and that's a whole different story. But some comments are just not helpful, as you know, but people feel compelled to share them anyway. Now, a great example is when someone starts a statement with, "Don't be offended." Well, I want you to brace yourself for possible thoughts that will come from their brain that will not align with your own. I won't say that you will be offended because I've already taught you how not to be offended. And if you want to do that and you haven't actually listened to that episode yet, I recommend going back and listening to episode 76. I'll link it below. They also might say things like, "I say this with love because I care about you," those sorts of comments. Again, be discerning who they are coming from and what you take on as the truth. Not to say that they are not saying them from that place of love and care about you. They do. Our mothers and our parents are a perfect example. They really want us to be safe and feel great, and they say things out of love, but it might not be that helpful still. And so you must be discerning about where it comes from. And you also have to be discerning about whether it's helpful or not. So the real question is, are you going to let it derail you? Someone has thrown a comment out at you that might not be helpful, and it is easy for sure to let things like this derail you. And I know I am putting my hand up here because these exact things derail me all the time. It's actually more than I would like to admit. As someone that helps other people get through this sort of stuff, I still let comments derail me all the time. Mind you, I do talk about the bounce back period too. That is a lot quicker than it used to be in the olden days when I wasn't aware of all this stuff. So this goes hand in hand with the people pleasing tendencies, and you might be the same. You want everybody to have a certain opinion of you, so you do certain things to please that person. So they have an opinion of you that you are trying to manipulate, I suppose. When you ask yourself, are you going to let it derail you? That is just a point of awareness. It's like, oh, I'm having an emotion around a thought that I've created from someone else's circumstance that has created a feeling, and are you prepared to let that derail you from achieving your goal because of that circumstance? When we think of it like that, it's like, okay, of course, no, I don't want it to derail me. I can feel this feeling. Maybe someone said something like, and this didn't happen, I'm just making an example up right now. Maybe someone said, oh, you've got really squeaky voice or something like that. And you might be a podcast host. And so someone says that to you and you might feel embarrassed. You know, it might be like, oh God, like that's really embarrassing that people think I've got a squeaky voice. That might be your thought. So you feel embarrassed, and then the next time you want to record a podcast episode, you're so critical and judgmental of yourself that you just don't do it, and so you stop. And then one episode gets left, and then another, then all of a sudden you're not a podcast host anymore because somebody said something off the cuff that made you question yourself, and you felt a feeling and you weren't able to move through that feeling and keep going towards your goal because of somebody else's opinion. So you have to ask the question, am I going to let this derail me? And I'm hoping you are going to say, no, this is not the place where I'm going to be derailed from my goal because of an opinion of somebody else. And the truth is, you just don't owe anybody else a justification for why you want to achieve a goal. It's okay if they don't get it. It's okay if they don't understand. And that's again on you to control. It's like, okay, I know my reasons. I know why I'm showing up for this goal. I can do this. I can not let comments like that derail me, and I can keep stepping forward because I know the reason why I'm going after this goal. So then there's the idea of feedback versus noise. So there is a difference between constructive feedback and unhelpful opinions. Good feedback can sound like this. Hey, I think you could tweak this and here's how. And they give you some examples and support you to do that. Or I noticed this, maybe this would help. And they offer solutions as well. Like my friend and I talk about this all the time. Like we like to come with solutions. We don't just like to come with, that was shit, that wasn't cool, you know, I would do that differently. Maybe you could change this. It's like, no, let's just come with some helpful ideas about how to move forward from maybe it's a failure that you've gone through, or maybe it didn't work out the way you thought. So you want people to give you some constructive feedback on what's going to be helpful. You know what's never constructive is when someone gives you their opinion about yourself and it's about your innate personality. Like that is never helpful, like ever. Anyway, that's something that could happen as well. And that leads me into this next part, which is unhelpful opinions. Unhelpful opinions can sound like you are this or you are that, or I just don't think this is a good idea. And then they offer no reasoning, no solutions, and it becomes just noise. If you find yourself asking the question, yeah, how? And nobody offers a solution or supports you to come to your own solution, because generally we can come to our own solution if we are supported in the right way. If that doesn't happen, it's usually an unhelpful opinion. It's throwing something out there and just saying, well, it's just my opinion. And that is never helpful. It is never helpful when somebody does that. It's actually really funny because when you step back and realize how much people love to have an opinion, yet it actually has so little to do with you. Okay, there's this thing called projection. So when someone has an opinion about something or a thought about something, it's usually a thought that they have about themselves that they're putting onto you because you've presented them with an opportunity to share that. And a lot of people don't realize that, but that is what projection is. So we are going to stop wasting our energy on the things that we can't control. Instead of spending our energy managing emotions around others' thoughts about us, we're going to redirect that energy into taking action towards your goal. Because remember, you have the goal. There are steps to complete. And yes, you need a solid mindset behind achieving that goal. And you get to choose those thoughts as well. And we don't want to spend time our precious time, remember, like our time is precious. It's finite. We have a limited amount of time. We don't want to spend it trying to change the opinions of others that just don't get it or are not in the arena with us doing the things that put ourselves out there to get the feedback in the first place. So let's not spend energy there. Let's spend energy intentionally putting it into things that are going to support the goal achievement. So that's where your energy is better spent. Doesn't mean that you're going to not feel the emotion, but you can feel the emotion and not let it stop you. You can do this by asking yourself some questions. Things like, does this opinion or feedback help me move forward? And in my recent experience, it didn't. It actually stopped me. And as somebody that knows how to process through emotion, that was helpful. So I did that instead. And then I've kept moving forward on my goal. So some opinions and feedback is not helpful, and you have to be the one to judge that. And I know that is easier said than done sometimes, but it is possible because guess what? You know yourself better than anybody else. I promise you that is true. The second question is, am I spending more time coaching myself through my feelings than actually doing the thing? Okay, so make yourself aware of it. Make yourself aware of, I am just spending time coaching myself through my feelings rather than doing the things that is taking action towards achieving the goal that need to get done because I said they were important. And instead I'm spending all my energy coaching myself on my feelings. Just know, and then you get to decide what you want to do instead. And the third question is, this is interesting, like take this or leave this. You don't always have to do this, but you could ask yourself, is there truth in this opinion? Because sometimes there is truth in that and you can just figure it out whether it is true or not and whether you want to work on it or whether you don't, or maybe it's not true at all. Maybe it was true once and you're like, oh no, actually it's not true anymore. And you have to be able to step in to conviction about who you are. Remember I just told you that you are the person that knows yourself the best. So then that question will allow you to step into the conviction of that. And it's like, oh yes, that's definitely something I can work on, or makes sense and is true, or actually, no, that is not true at all. And I'm happy to relieve myself of the burden of that thought from somebody else. Because most of the time, the real work is just staying focused on the next step. When you have goals, there is always a next step until you get to the finish line. That's what goals are. There's like, we need to do this, and then this comes up, and then we need to do that, and we need to do these 10 other things to get this goal done. And that's what crossing the finish line of your goal looks like. As I said, this is a quick episode just so I can remind you that you have the power. You have the power of your own understanding about yourself, what's helpful, what isn't, what you need to focus on to get to the finish line of your goals, to live the life that you really want to live, regardless of what others say. Your self-perception is yours to decide, not anyone else. You can choose to believe in yourself regardless of what others say. And because you know that I love thinking with intention, I'm going to give you some thoughts to think on purpose for when people do offer you their opinions and their thoughts that could potentially derail you. I'm just going to list some, and I'll also put them in the show notes so you can go write them down, stick them on your computer, your phone, screensaver, wherever it's going to be helpful for you to remember that you can think another way, and it doesn't have to be always aligned with the person that is giving you the feedback. The first one, I'm someone who does not abandon myself for the approval from someone else. Oh, I love that one. My opinion of myself matters more than anyone else's opinion of me. If my opinion of myself is negative, that's what I need to work on changing. That is just a reminder that yes, we've always got work to do. And if it's our own negative opinion reflected out, yes, that is what we need to work on. But ultimately, my opinion of myself matters more than anybody else, and I can believe in myself. The next one is, I can decide ahead of time what to think about myself no matter what outcome happens for this goal I'm pursuing. So even if you fail, like I failed recently, And even if you fail, you can still think that you are amazing, worthy, capable of achieving the goal, even if the results don't show you anything but the opposite of that. So I can decide ahead of time what to think about myself no matter what outcome happens for this goal I am pursuing. I love that. The next one is they are allowed to be wrong about me. I've said this one a few times on the podcast, but hear it again. They are allowed to be wrong about me, and also you don't need to change their opinion of you. So don't spend the energy there. They're just allowed to be wrong about you. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to be a problem. The next one is this feeling is just a set of sensations in my body and I can handle it. So when someone says something and you feel embarrassed, disappointed, angry, whatever the feeling is, you can feel it. Your body is capable of handling all the feelings. And then the last one is my worth is not the stock market. It can't go up and down just based on thoughts in other people's brains. I love this one. I borrowed this one from somebody else, and I will give credit to her in the show notes. So I'm going to say it again. My worth is not the stock market. It can't go up and down just based on thoughts in other people's brains. Okay, because like I said, everybody has their own thoughts and opinions about everything. Some people like to share it more than others. Some people think it's helpful when they share it. And depending on who you are, what your personality is, where you are in life, so many things, it can derail you. So this is just your reminder that today you are not going to be derailed by somebody else's opinion. And if they share it or not, you can stay on track to your goal. You can show up and do the things that are required to cross the finish line. And there is always going to be somebody offering an opinion, and you can handle it all. So my friends, go out and put this into practice. And if you know you need help to stay on track with your goals, or if you just need to get a kickstart to your goals because you are in the process of stopping and starting and you don't have a lot of proof yet that you can follow through, go and listen to my free 3-part series. It's a course called First Step to Success. It's designed exactly for this. It'll help you build proof that you can follow through no matter what noise is happening around you. So go grab it now. It's free and you can start today. Okay, my friends, that is it. I really hope that this episode has been helpful and you can keep showing up even in the face of all the opinions. Okay, go and have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.